Hi, this is Covert Reality, and we are going to be talking about a lot of different things today because I have a lot on my mind, and there's a lot of things going on that are making a lot of things on my mind. There's definitely, I guess, for a lot of the people that aren't paying attention, or for a lot of the people that aren't really, they're too busy during their day to really keep up on what's going on. I just try to listen to what who I trust out there and what kind of sources fit with me, and just try to speak in a regular language to the people on these different times we're in. And we're living in southern Ontario in this area, but it doesn't really matter where you are in this point in time. The whole world is experiencing a massive change and a grand awakening, and you can see the dominoes falling for the darker sides of things. Our control mechanisms are kind of losing their ground, and we're trying to pry the door open so our future can look somewhat thought-provoking rather than degrading or feeling like we don't have one. So never would have thought that it would ever come to a point in my life where I'd be speaking about things that were so kind of deep, dark, and depressing to most, but very important to a few. Here we are at this time. What would we have here? What are we at? Well, this is 2018, January the 16th, and this is pretty interesting time. I have a lot on my mind. One being the inauguration coming up, the year anniversary of Donald Trump being inaugurated is coming up this February, or this January 20th, I should say. I was meant to say February 20th, but nope. January 20th, and we are really hoping that there aren't any sort of spoiled efforts to create some sort of friction at this point in time, because a lot of things have been going on under the scenes, and there's been quite a lot of rumors going out there in the favor of freedom. I just feel like this doesn't get jeopardized by any sort of planned, falsified attack, because we've got these, missiles being launched from different places, and people asking why, and Hawaii having their population warned. Apparently that was a real missile that was going to hit them, and it was intercepted. Or it could have been just a tactic to get people prepared, like I've heard and I agree with, to get people kind of conditioned to get ready for such an event. The dark side's falling apart so drastically right now that they've always had this last plan up their sleeve. So now it comes down to the people in the military to stop a nuclear war type scenario. Again, we're in southern Ontario. We're surrounded by nuclear facilities that we rely on for power. And but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense to kind of get back to something where we can get back to basics at this point in time in the economics side of things, and the agricultural side of things, and the well-being side of things, because we're living in a very incredible time right now, where negotiations across the board for international peace is happening. At the same time, we got weather weapons that are still happening. We have spraying and alteration of climate still happening. We have people getting really sick. We have elderly people dying. We got neurological diseases everywhere. It's the number one cause in spraying in the atmosphere spraying the atmosphere is causing the autism, and so the number one cause of autism is caused from spraying. So, when people realize they got a lot of aluminum in their system, gee, I'm all jittery. I just have so much to talk about right now. So when people have a lot of aluminum in their system, they're going to be reactant to a lot of those frequencies around you, and there's things you can do about that. But what I want to go into, like, I mean, you can look up online or any way to get rid of heavy metals, or take iodine to get rid of or to replenish your thyroid gland, your battery to your immune system. So I don't know, we're going to be just kind of focusing on this area here, Great Lakes, but based on what's been going on in the United States with the weather weapons. And we've had it happen here with Alberta. They tested it out here. A lot of sick things happening right now. It's like all the dark side. I just kind of picture, like, it just makes so much sense to me that, and it's kind of a shame to think of things this way, but animatedly, if I was to put it in animation, it'd be a lot easier to do than say it. But what I want to say is, I just want to say, I feel bad for all the people that have had to grow up in this world and not feel like they were good looking or not enough, or important enough, or all those simple, silly things that only existed because of the system we're in. And it wouldn't have existed like that if it wasn't for the system we're in. And a lot of these people get kind of segregated in their own way, and because of the way they look. And but then who's to say who's who? Who's to say what's beautiful and what's not beautiful? Who's to say that? To me, I think that we're evolving from that to realize that everyone is beautiful, and that there's an amazing identity about every one of us. So you can't look at a picture from a magazine that's been tossed around in the grocery stores and places like that, where they have magazines for years and years and years, where they just show like a certain type of beauty, and anyone that looks remotely like that is like more important than other people, I guess. We need to evolve from that, and I feel like we are. So I guess what my point is, that I realize that a lot of the people that haven't felt like they've been loved enough or looked at like they were anything special join the military. Or they've got some sort of position in an authoritative, bully-like atmosphere that's kind of either there because it suits personalities, or it's there because it ultimately is fighting back against what it feels it's lost out on. So it tries to, like the nerd in high school that I think Stephen Colbert mentioned one time to David Keith, which is the only thing I like about Stephen Colbert at this point, is when he had mentioned that David Keith reminded him of the mad little revengeful boy from Harvard that is a nerd from Harvard that wants to get back at the world, So, like, it's sort of like that. Like, people that have been degraded or felt like they haven't had love or someone adore them or feel anything like that have kind of resorted to go into these areas of where they can take advantage of other people because they felt like they haven't been getting any love from them anyway. So it kind of becomes like a karmatic thing for them, really. But it's because of a system we're in. So, just imagine if we had another system where we recognize and get back to the point of keeping things real, that it would bring a lot of that stuff back to a center of being able to cope and not be so angry at a segregation just because of a media agenda. So anyway, I might have kind of went off of something there, but I kind of wanted to say that overall. But the point of this episode was to kind of, I've been just noticing little warnings here and there. I've been kind of digging a bit. Environment Canada, different small things around Canada here, or around the Great Lakes area, that are, not really talking about geoengineering, never talking about how much we get sprayed here. No, they'll never talk about that. But other things, like I mentioned in one of the other episodes, recent ones, Meteotsunamis, but they don't add the R at the end. It's just Meteotsunami, they call it. Like, say, we're talking about those, like that could happen, but no, I don't even want to talk about these things because they're kind of made up, another side of things that they can blame again, right? So if there's any sort of a weird tidal wave that takes out Grand Bend and Sauble Beach, all these areas, and just kind of gets rid of them because they need to. They need to go in there and take out all the infrastructure to take it all over under the agendas. So I kind of feel like they'll manipulate a wave tsunami, but it won't be because of meteors flying by, you know. But at the same time, we've got these different weird things about missiles getting launched here and there recently. So we do definitely want to go to that, because it does mean that what I do feel is that they are getting ready to test launch systems and to fabricate something, and we're trying to get past this whole warning people things, because we're hoping the dark side kind of falls down soon, rather faster than soon. I hear Bill Gates is someone had mentioned that, you know, no one's heard from Bill Gates this year. You know, where'd he go? If anyone's heard from him, just please send me anything you can to verify if he's around or not, if he's said anything recently. So I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of different things to take care of here, to look for the general public, because it is true that life is like a big boat with a bunch of people in it. And a lot of the people might be just dancing on the dance floor most of the time, not even really caring about anything else. And that's cool, because that's, you know, you're free and you're away from all the crap. But really, if you're not paying attention to the steering wheel in the boat, or at least looking at it, or at least going in the room once in a while to make sure the boat is going the right direction, then it's kind of the mathematical equation of how a system can get put into place to take advantage of that fact, and then we're in a situation like we're in now. But luckily, Donald Trump pulling out of the SPP to me and TPP, and it'd be the SPP to most people that I know, but him pulling out of that, the North American Union, and carbon taxation is amazing. Like pulling out of the IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change, out of that agreement, because it was an agreement of hustlers that want to play with weather weapons to blame people for their driving and using all sorts of things. So that's, to a lot of us, it's getting to be annoying even speaking of this. So, but we have to understand this is a battle against the manipulatable people. So manipulatable people. So we can't really we can't let that happen, because we just can't, you know. So I really feel like this is a big step that we're going into right now, where I honestly have to say this. The reason why I wanted to put this episode out is for this point. As I sit here in a rented room in Hesper, Ontario, I sit here and I think to myself, wow, the power could go out at any moment right now, and am I ready? You know, like I have a trailer for my bike and I have a bunch of stuff, so I can always just fill that up and get out of here. It's not that bad for snowing, and like for too much snow out there, I could probably get around. Roads aren't that bad, but it just did snow quite a bit last night. Maybe, well, not quite a bit, about 4 inches last night. So, you know, I just want to get across that at any minute the power could go off. And we're at January. You know, like February is a pretty cold month. And they're testing systems right now. They're already like shooting missiles. Something's going on. You know, and then you hear that it was a dispersal. It was a Zuka dispersal or Zuka missile to bring about sickness across the coast or something. So I don't want to mention these things, but we don't know what it is, right? So we're living in real time right now. We know that there's witnesses that are seeing all these things happen. I think a lot of it is playing with modern technology. I just really hope that, like the holographic technology and the plasmatic arena in the atmospheric wave, like Project Bluebeam strategies, visionaries in the atmosphere. They're just different things. You can go on Covert Reality on YouTube. There's a video on their holographic image caught in the sky in Brantford or something like that. Just something, you notice it when they spray, then you'll see more lights in the sky, or more like little planes flying by with lights on it. You never hear them, though. You don't hear the engines. I always wonder, why? Why is that you don't hear the engines? Are these holographic imagery, or are they little drones? What are they? I know a lot of people out there notice this lately a lot more than before. You'll notice people just kind of, are planes going over you, little small planes, and the lights will be on them. You don't never see them in the daytime, though. You never see little planes flying over during the day with no light on. No noise coming out. It's usually during the day you can hear that. At night, when you see the light, it's a different story. A lot of times, I'm refreshed and relieved when I actually hear the engine of the plane engine or the jet engine. But there's just a lot of things going on, so I feel like right now they need to push an agenda to make people aware of climate change and stuff like that too. So here in southern Ontario, we've had a really wild roller coaster ride of the most intense cold weather we've ever felt here, to the nicest bit of weather, where when the night wind was just light wind was hitting this snowbank, and you could see all this condensation coming from it. I thought, wow, is that amazing? It was so cold, and just a day and a half later, it's so warm that it's throwing condensation off the snowbanks, and I could take my jacket off. I'm just wearing a sweater. A lot of people get really cold if they don't know how to. They get really cold if they obviously get caught in that mind frame, maybe not throwing on pajamas at night or extra blanket, because the next day will be super cold. And then the next will be warm, so you just kind of have that fluctuation. And like I've said before many times, it's what really feeds a lot of the pharmaceutical dark side of this whole operation. But we have to be honest with ourselves. Everything surrounding us in southern Ontario is pretty much garbage, except for the things that are natural to yourself and the world. So when we look at what's fed to us, our whole school system, our banking system, everything has been set up to literally fit into certain agendas, not the people. It's only gone into, it's just too bad that I don't know, it's hard to describe. Canada's always been such a bland country to me. Meanwhile, I hear other people saying, oh, this is a beautiful country, we came here from this country, and it's like this here, and so there, so we love it being here. It's just, well, yeah, okay, that's cool. I could always understand that, but at the same time, I guess I'd think, oh, okay, it must be really bad in other countries, so I'd feel, okay, it is all right here, though. But there's always something about this oppression all the time. I don't know how long we're all supposed to live for. I guess our whole lives paying hydro bills. This is the biggest thing that really gets to me. It really does. It's got to change. I know there's a lot of people involved in hydro commissions and stuff that are mayors. Even Mayor Doug Craig here, he's got to be one of the most scoundrelous people I've ever met. And I honestly have to speak to him one of these times, and man to man, and I always do try to speak to him. He's just an arrogant man. He doesn't want to deal with anything that goes against him. But I'd like to speak to him sometime, because I feel like all of these guys are going down. All of these people that are involved in the Energy Commission and the not that they're going down, so they're going to have a massive amount of negotiations and files of lawsuits that tie into the 5G smart meter program that was just recently used to demonstrate a heat weapon system that disintegrated houses and people off the face of this earth. Looked like a war zone, nuclear war zone. So any way that they can get away with fabricating a nuclear warfare is something that they want to do. Now Trump has went and made peace talks a negotiative step towards peace with South Korea and North Korea. Now the interesting way that he had done that is that he had, I guess, now I'm going by what I've been reading and stuff and just trying to figure this all out, but apparently there had been a satellite sent up above North Korea by the United States military, and it is designed to send an EMP wave. I think it was an EMP, so electromagnetic pulse weapon, at North Korea. So it's kind of a negotiable thing, like, hey, you want to try to do what you're doing, it's just going to be blasted off of our weapon system. You know, so if they want to blast it off, they can just use the EMP weapon, and it'll just literally like push a wave of energy and blow it up, or push it back and direct it down, which it could very well direct it down spontaneously onto their own land. So, like, they had already happened there anyway, right? He already test launched one right on his own town in South Korea, Kim Jong-un, just about a week ago. But anyway, so they went and did that. But anyway, that's a good thing. So while that's happening, we have that going on, but we have to think, though, that the deep state that wants, like, the deep state that harbors all these people that are so, like, you know, they've bought into the dark sides for so long because they haven't been able to get that beauty other ways. They got to buy it. They got to buy the women. They got to buy and get involved with these really deep, crazy, dark. I don't even like to speak of it, but pedophilic things. You know, it's one thing that's really challenged many people here as good men and good women when they realize that that's a reality that happens on our planet. And I'm just so glad that Donald Trump was involved in having that heart inside to know that we need to preserve the innocence of our future generations, to find the right balance of good to evil. There's got to be a balance. I mean, when you get it to be where it's unbalanced, where there's no respect among the young and people that are brought up in this world, or anyone at all, like even massive populations where they're spraying us, like, or the school systems that manipulate us, or the banking systems manipulate us. Every single thing the government here manipulates us. Ontario and Waterloo region here is all set up to be a total slavery factory to try to make people happy enough to stay there. But the thing that sucks about it is this: the people that are here know how much it's really unbalanced and not fair and getting expensive and stupid. But they advertise for outside of this place to other places that are more expensive and chaotic to come here to beautiful Cambridge and blah, blah, blah. So they go and they invest all this money, throw money in, down payments and stuff. They come, they move here, they realize that the land that they have the house is built on is not on a legitimate land. They don't even literally have the right kind of permission to even be on it. And half the land is on land that's not even suitable to be on. So when they find this out, lawsuits are filed, but it's under the media's radar because the media is bought and paid for. And I'm glad that Torstar just got a big punch in the gut recently, because Torstar runs, a lot of these newspapers that literally spew garbage to us all the time. So when I say that I live in a town that gives us our free will, no, it never has. And I'd say, like, since 1974, it was probably even worse. And 82, I know it was even worse from there too, for different reasons politically, that it had changed. So we have a lot of different things that have literally made our country now, Canada, into the most Nazi-like country because we are allowing Sharia law practices here. There is a crackdown on censorship, big time. If you speak of anything against Islamic rule here, or Islamic law, or Islamic ways, in a way you could be deemed an enemy of that ideology, and then you get thrown in prison or in jail. So this has happened. This just happened. So someone, I believe from The Rebel, had mentioned something. It's a media company in Canada here, had mentioned, I don't really totally trust them. At the same time, they're, whatever, boast themselves as being breakthrough news. But so anyway, someone had mentioned something about Islamic immigration or something like that, and he got 5 months in jail. So this just recently happened. And it's a reality. So this is what's happening here. It's kind of what's been happening within Cambridge, Ontario here. And I just want to make this clear that we are definitely at a point where a lot of us see dominoes falling for the dark side. and we see a lot of people getting taken out. We just want to believe that this is really happening, because for a long time, I know I'm kind of speaking anxiously right now, but it's kind of important that I get this out. I really want to believe that this is all happening for the right reasons, that it's actually happening because it really is happening. And psychologically, I really do believe it is. I think that, I'd say investigatively, I do believe it is. And so I do believe it is. I believe the dominoes have fallen a while back, and we're just literally watching it play out now in the media and to the rest of the public's eye. But, I did think before, too, that, that would be a grand way to just kind of, switch things over in a kind of a crappy way, is make everyone rejoice. They all know the truth now, and then everyone's fine. The bad boy's caught, the bad girl's caught, everyone's caught, so now we can live on. Then, boom, like, power goes out. So I just want everyone to be ready. And I'm not even trying to be a scary guy. Like, I never wanted to even think about this kind of stuff. But I just want you guys to know that right now at this point in time is the peak year. This is the year we're going to definitely change things. This is definitely the year that we are going to break things open. So it'll be up to us, really, because we're the ones that bring in the money. Okay? So there's some of us that are working for the government, some of us that are working for ourselves. Some of us are working at being good people, at being mothers and fathers and being really decent people. And I just want to regain that feeling. When I grew up, I wanted to believe that I didn't know that the world was that bad. I just wanted to believe that it was good. It had some sort of center of goodness where we didn't manipulate people to get what we need. That we just joined each other's efforts or not. If you don't like what someone's doing, go off and do your own thing. And there's probably other people doing other things, but make the world diverse. And so this is where we're trying to go. And Canada is the next in line. What is disassembling in the United States is definitely bound to trickle here. We have 75% of our income fluxing back and forth with our trade of income with the United States. If it's at that high of a percentage, then there's definitely going to be a trickle effect to Canada. That's why Canada was because Canada's closer to the Vatican and the Queen, like a little pocket of like a little side engine that the Vatican has to use and to just rake in money. And recently I just saw a Red Cross video on YouTube, a video of a bunch of canisters that say Red Cross on the side of them, with some funky funky code lettering on the side of it. When you open them up, they're all filled with just cash, just sitting in a room, just sitting there. Cash after cash after cash after cash. All like totally transferred through the bank, all wrapped up and nice into these big crates, just sitting there. So the Red Cross thanks everyone that gives money to them, because they don't ever help anybody. And if they do, it's like 15% at maximum out of all the donations they get. So I'm just sickened by growing up into a world where a lot of people around me, in the adulthood way, really actually trust those things and feed them, Friends of Israel and stuff like that. I just find it kind of like we can't trust, if the churches have always been getting away with pedophilia, then you don't support them. Now I know for a long time that maybe people couldn't say anything because they'd be slowly killed off on the side, but now we have a really big chance to get to the bottom of what is causing all of this tyranny. Because when it comes down to it, once you've reached the egg or the seed of why, of the reasoning psychologically through the years, what they're hiding and why they have to be so possessive of controlling everybody, is to get away with what they're doing and grow that ideology and make it their way of life. Because they feel like they got enough people that agree with it, that there probably could be more. But I'm going to say this. When you go down the street, how many people actually help out? When you wipe out on your bike or something. How many people will stop, right? How many people would drive by or even stop and say, hey, you'd hope that most people would. That would say, hey, are you okay, at least? You know, there's some people that will just drive by. I guess, like, my point is that it's kind of the same thing. Like, we're in a system where it was meant to be a manipulatable, mediated thing with a pretty face to get other people to want that same thing because you can have this and that. And to glorify and glamorize that is one of the biggest mistakes and one of the biggest wastes of time for anyone's intellect and their self-respect and integrity to put us into that just so you can make money. And people are making money off of manipulating people. And people say, oh, that's okay, I like that. I like that music. Well, it wasn't music that you had a chance to go out and find for yourself. You know? It was forced upon you in a way. So I just want to say that if we can get rid of that way of life and to get back into really honestly giving the world what it really needs, and if we're going to put a screen in front of people's faces, it better be darn well beneficial, not wasting people's time or taking snapshots or videos of them in the secrecy of their own home, in the privacy of their own home, secretly I should say. So we need to understand that Bill Gates is one of the biggest enemies of our lifetime. Bill Gates has got to be, I'm looking right at a laptop right now, thinking to myself, wow, how many times I've wasted so much time with these by accidentally erasing things, or maybe it's just the operator's fault, but a lot of times I've had things just fall apart and waste my time and having to get things renewed and everything. And has it been really a beneficial step forward for everybody? Well, in a very big way, yes, but in another way, it's wasted a lot of people's time and energy and diverted us into the actual reality of right now of us being already injected with nanoparticulate matter that has been dispersed by us, on us by the likes of Bill Gates. And this is a Clinton administration type ordeal, this weather modification. So they're already doing eugenics on everybody. They've already got like these little nanobots already in us. And people might be listening to this as new-time listeners and go, this guy is nuts, but no. No. You can check it out for yourself. At this point, I'm not really about putting my face on the screen. So I will just go at it the way it is here, honestly, as much as I can. But I do want to capture on this episode a little bit of how I'm feeling, because I've had a lot of time to sit back and read documents, read through what's going on, and it does seem like Canada is definitely in a negative, or like a neutral juggernaut, if you want to call it that, because it's probably a great time for all of the great patriots of the country to gather and start going to Parliament. Even if you have to get a ritzy suit, or just walk in there whatever way you want, but we all need to go there and get to the bottom of this and start to negotiate and get rid of things here, because with rid of the dirt, because that's holding our oppression and these 5G smart meter things. But there's just so many things that I could bring up about those things, how invasive it really is. And if the public woke up to that, they would be hysterical. But this is the thing that's really bothering a lot of us right now, is that if the public does wake up and get hysterical, then that just means that they can just disintegrate all of us. And I'm not even trying to be scary. They're already doing this in California. I really hate to say this. It's not getting any coverage at all in the news. It's making me sick, actually, that Alex Jones, and I know that they're doing their best there and everything. Maybe it'll come down to the point where they will stop weather weapons. We just got to go through all this stuff first. But no one's talking about it. I find it just disgraceful that there's not a lot of information on the any of the people that would live there. Like, some people haven't even, there is no, to not have life insurance claims follow through from life insurance companies and property insurance companies, that no one even goes to file. Like, come on. Like, these are like messages from the insurance companies that are like testimonials. So what are we to believe, right? If they can disintegrate us like that, like snippety snap, and disintegrate us, And the best little bit of a way I can give it as an example is if you go on YouTube and check out World Trade Center collapsing. Now, the very last part that falls down when there's a big puff of smoke at the bottom is that little small skeletal side of a window frame type thing. And you literally see it disintegrate. And if you look closely, you'll see it disintegrate into dust. Now, they did that, and they used that same direct energy weapon for California, for Alberta, for many places. They use it all the time. But now they have to, because we understand this agenda. We understand how tight it is. They did not expect Trump to win. And I'm going to say this again. I love to say this because Trump is so far ahead of the game. Like, he knows exactly what's going on. Like, it's not like he didn't know what he was doing. He was playing them so well that he would pretend to be the dark side's friend and then just play them along and like just bat them around because he knew what they were doing. When they brought up negotiations, the deep state had brought up some sort of negotiation with them, and what they brought to the platform or to the table was disgraceful. So it's just like if it's not to benefit the people, then forget it. So this whole shithole thing, or Donald Trump saying shithole countries, what people have to understand is, and many people do, is that when he's talking about shithole countries, even if he did say it, we have to understand Washington Post gave the original announcement for that, so that's not credible on its own. So, but even if he did say that, all he's saying is that all of the countries that are coming here to provide disbenefit to the country. He's speaking in that term. Okay, that's the language he's speaking in. So, anyone that comes into our country to create devastation is not helping us. Like the whole G20 fiasco. All of our government, Harper, they're all caught, right? They all find the secrecy. They all get involved in pedophilia. Brian Mulroney, I've heard a couple cases now of him being involved in that. And Stephen Harper, Mulroney, probably more people. A lot of people are going to be shamed and falling apart and leaving our lives soon. Can you imagine how many people will just disappear off the face of this planet when they get revealed that what they're into, what they do? Because YouTube and that, I encourage everyone to leave YouTube, Facebook, and literally, I know it seems to be hard, but find other venues, because it's just there's so much court stuff going on anyway behind the scenes. Maybe they'll be forced to become not so violating. But if you knew how violating YouTube has got, and the mechanisms we use and we trust in our daily lives, you'd understand. I'm just speaking for the people and for the fairness and the greatness of humanity and the future forever and forever. So let's look ahead and just really send your energy, frequency, and your water inside you, whatever fresh water, pure water we got left out there. Think into the spiritual side of things and really push that energy out, because to reverse this, because we already have it. We just have to be ready for any sort of last punch. So if there's ever going to be any sort of problem or takedown of Trump or anything like that, it's going to be within the next week. I just want people to be prepared, and that's what this episode is about. I love everybody out there, and I'm sorry if I sounded like wasn't quite ready for this episode. I kind of like them to be natural, like I'm just, like we're in the same room talking. Anyway, I'm out. Until next time, see you.